Your life is being controlled by something you've never consciously seen. Not your habits, not your environment, not even your goals, your self-image. And once you understand this, you'll never look at failure, weight gain, confidence, money, or even relationships the same way again. Because most people think they're making decisions consciously. They're not. They're obeying an internal identity program they didn't even install themselves. And the craziest part? It silently pulls your life back to what feels normal, even when that normal is destroying you. Think about that. Why do people lose motivation right after progress? Why do people finally start winning, then sabotage themselves? Why do some people stay stuck for 10 years doing the same things? This is why. Your mind has a built-in system designed to keep your identity consistent, even if that identity is painful. And almost nobody talks about this correctly. Back in the 1960s, Maxwell Maltz called this one of the greatest psychological discoveries of his generation. He realized something terrifying. Human beings do not behave according to reality. They behave according to the image they hold of themselves. That changes everything. Because if someone secretly sees themselves as unattractive, broke, awkward, unsuccessful, overweight, unworthy, their entire nervous system starts defending that identity, even against their own goals. That's why temporary motivation almost never lasts. Because motivation fights behavior, but identity controls behavior, and identity usually wins. Here's the simplest way to understand it. Imagine a thermostat in a room. You set it to 70 degrees. Now suddenly, a window opens. Cold air rushes in. The room drops to 65. What happens? The thermostat detects the difference, activates the system, and pushes the room back to its original setting automatically. No emotion, no debate, no motivation speech, just programming. Now here's the uncomfortable part. Your brain works the exact same way. Most people think they're consciously creating their lives, but psychologically, they're functioning more like thermostats. Your self-image becomes the set temperature for your entire life, which means if you see yourself as poor, you unconsciously return to financial struggle. If you see yourself as unconfident, you return to insecurity. If you see yourself as unlovable, you destroy healthy relationships. Not because you want to suffer, because your identity fights to remain familiar. That's the real prison. And once you see this, you start noticing it everywhere. Look at people who constantly restart their lives every Monday. New diet, new routine, new motivation. Then somehow they end up back in the same place. Why? Because the behavior changed temporarily, but the identity never changed. And identity always pulls behavior back toward itself. This is why someone can lose 20 pounds, then gain it all back, or make more money, then unconsciously destroy the opportunity, or finally gain confidence, then randomly disappear and isolate again. Most self-improvement advice completely misses this. It tells people, work harder, push more, stay disciplined. But discipline without identity change is usually temporary suffering, because eventually the old self-image reclaims control. This is also why school destroys so many people psychologically. A child gets labeled bad student. After enough repetition, the child stops seeing poor grades as a situation and starts seeing them as an identity. That's deadly. It starts producing evidence to support it over and over again. And once you understand that, you stop trying to force change from the outside. You rebuild yourself from the identity level. That's when your reality starts changing permanently, not temporarily, permanently. Because the strongest force in human behavior is the need to remain consistent with who you believe you are. So choose that identity carefully. Your future is obeying it.